Welcome back to the Talk Shop, Studio 255 in the Laramie Plains Civic Center. Hosts, guests, perhaps you. Today, Tom Mullan, veteran owner of I-80 Towing and Automotive Services, 3830 Cherrywood Loop East, just south of the port of entry in Laramie, Wyoming. Across from 307 Meats, your neighbor in the new business sector of our community. Welcome, Thomas Mullan.
Oh, good morning, Eric. Pleasure to be here.
Good to have you, sir. And how is the towing world in our city, our county, our state of Wyoming?
The towing world in general is doing fine. People break down, they call the insurance companies, and everything's going good. It's just when, I hate to say this, when Big Brother steps in.
You have government oversight?
Always.
They got their hands in the cookie jar?
Everything.
Yeah?
And
how about does I-80 Towing and Automotive Services generally available for city tows?
Generally, yes. City tows aren't that much of an issue, really.
Okay. How about county-wide?
County and statewide is the main issue because the state passed a law authorizing WYDOT, which is Wyoming Department of Transportation, to initiate rules and regulations governing the non-consensual tow list. And the non-consensual tow list is supposed to be when the motoring public or a vehicle owner is not able, because of an accident,
intoxication,
able to call for a tow truck. So therefore, the state has authorized WYDOT to write up a rotation list when they call tower A, B, and C. It's supposed to be fair and equitable.
It seems reasonable. What's the problem?
The problem is, depending on the situation and the location, that the policy itself gives an individual patrolman the right to bypass the list, call whomever they want.
On location, on-site discretion.
Yes,
comes into play, and therefore personal, perhaps, bias.
Bias, correct, because you have now where in some areas, law enforcement people work for specific tow companies.
Might be related.
Might be related, might not be, but it still leads the perception of bias. I'm going to call my cousin Jim, and he can come get it. And
Why not make a public records request of the call logs or the rotation and show that the state, county did abide by or deviate from that call rotation?
I have. Months ago.
You have 30 days to receive it according to state statute. I haven't even heard
back anything from them on...
When was your last request?
Oh, God. My last request to follow up on the previous request was maybe 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So
you have 2
more weeks. You have 2 more weeks in your current request on the prior request.
Yes.
When was the prior request? This sounds arduous.
4 or 5 months ago.
4 or 5 months to get a 30-day request.
Who
holds the state, county officials accountable for that 30-day period? Who audits?
Nobody.
The responsiveness of the county. What do you as a business owner and citizen have to do in order to enforce your right?
Oh, I'm trying now. I've reached out. I've had.
You have to get legal. You have to get legal help.
Oh yeah, you have to get. My legal personnel are the ones that put in the request, not me.
Now wait a minute. Government serves the public
until they don't.
And in the case where they do not, in order to uphold your rights to a public request review, you have to expend
money?
What's the simple retainer nowadays? $5,000-$10,000 for a work.
I just pay them monthly.
You've engaged in this fee in order to uphold your right to review a call rotation. Of which, what do you have to do? Let's back up. What do you do to be on? What do you do to qualify to be on such a list in the state of Wyoming?
It depends on the area you're in, because they're not fair across the board in the state. Like across the I-80 corridor, to be on the heavy duty, which is the semis, Now you have to have 2 large records per location, when before you only had
So in
one.
Albany County, you need 2. In Laramie County, you need 2.
2 across I-80.
Or just across that entire corridor, you need 2 to
Unless
service.
the division lieutenant grants you an exemption, which they can do individually, which isn't fair.
Is that public record, or is that
It's
something
in the
that's...
tow policy.
I know, but how does the public notified of these exceptions?
They're not.
Okay.
The lieutenant just says, yeah, you can be on the list, tells the executor that's in charge of it, Rodney Myers.
Have you written the governor?
I've talked to everybody, written everybody, sent letters out. I just sent out letters, actual letters, to all the representatives, Harriet on down.
Yeah.
I've had one senator thankfully respond. I'm working with him now.
Out of more than 10 letters sent to individual elected officials,
I've had one respond.
1 in 10. Now,
one in about 30.
1 in about 30 contacts. That's not inconsistent with my experience on the talk shop. I've invited public officials, candidates for office, as well as elected officials, and the response rate is less than 30%. This is not acceptable.
No, it's not. And I understand they're all busy, new session, they just got out, they got a lot of other issues going on, but they won't even pick up a phone to call you back.
Current elected officials have been known to, just in 2025, be critical of media and coverage of political topics, legislative topics, areas of concern. But yet these same individuals critical of media have not shown up. They have not accepted the invitation. It sounds consistent across the board with what you're experiencing at I-80 Towing and Automotive Services, requesting a public record review of the call rotation. And the problem with that, you mentioned qualifications in order to be on the I-80 corridor call
True.
list. What's involved to be on the call list there?
Well, the qualifications are actually a good thing, but you have to have an up-to-date unit, pass all the inspections, which is mandated by the federal government, which is fine. I mean, your tires should roll, your brakes should work, your lights should work. But the issue is that the individual policemen, troopers, anyone working for YDOT, they can bypass all that. They can call someone that has not even been inspected by the state, because the state is, they annually inspect our trucks, which is a good thing to make sure they're safe and operating, that you have
So
good
like
drivers.
a 20-point inspection,
Yeah,
basic
basically, yeah.
inspection.
Make sure you
kind
have
of thing.
insurance and coverage. But when the trooper can just throw that all out the window and call whomever he wants, because he says, well, I think these guys are going to be quicker. And it states in there they don't even have to be on the rotation list. They don't even have to be inspected by the state.
So they arbitrarily can bypass
Do away with the list.
that
so
system.
why are they forcing policy on
So
me?
on the surface,
It looks
the
good.
state provides for a great looking program, but in actuality, in practical application on a day by day, 24/7 basis, 365 days a year, your experience at I-80 Towing is much different.
Oh,
What's
yes.
the impact? What's the impact in the last year on your business and your revenue as a veteran-owned business in the state of Wyoming?
700,000 at least minimum.
That's a monster number.
Oh, I know.
What's the cost to just one of your semi hauling capable trucks?
Roughly about 600,000.
And do you lease those or own those?
You
if
have
I
to
might
buy
ask?
them. You can't lease a tow truck. It's rare. I mean, if
Doggone
you
it.
lease it, you're leasing it from another tow truck company, which is just
And the miles would probably
unrealistic.
be beyond the lease
Yeah.
parameters, right? Well, I appreciate you sharing that information, but I ask it because I was expecting exactly that. It's quite similar. The cost of one truck equal to the revenue lost, the impact of being bypassed on this call list, being
It's catastrophic.
overlooked, being not given a fair or equal
Fair
shake.
shake. Yep.
And you can't prove that if
They won't
you're
give you the
5,
records.
6 months, 10 months in delay getting those documents to review. How much time does somebody need to alter the documentation? How much time does somebody need to present a better presentation than what might actually exist? And why would I even ask that question were it not for the presumption that If it were transparent, you'd provide it immediately.
Well, on the other shoe too, they have the right. They can come in and inspect my books, all my previous tows, Concentra.
And how much time do you have to comply?
Provide it with, I think it's 7 days or something.
Right. And what's the penalty if you don't do it?
They kick me off for my operating authority.
They kick you off your licensure period to operate.
Period to operate either for the Concentra list or off of it as just a tow truck that's not even answering the calls.
Wow.
And it's just, and I've been
imagine in our
them.
audience, imagine if your business were impacted so substantially. Now, I don't know what percentage 700,000 is to your total overall revenue, but that is 100 businesses in Laramie, substantial amount of revenue, and you're not doing easy things. It takes probably a unbelievable insurance in order to be warranted to do this. It's not a safe job. The capacity of towing personnel, roadside accidents and fatalities happen.
Oh,
they've happened right here in our own community. I believe on the I-80 and Grand Avenue interchange, we've known fatality in our community. And that wasn't, maybe it was been 20 years ago now.
We've had one up on top around the 331 when an individual ran over and killed. Yeah.
How recent was that, Tom?
Oh, it's been a few years ago.
You know, I remember Olin Sims' family loss in a fatality, a 40-car pileup just by a near Lone Tree area and the eastbound lane going to Cheyenne, between Laramie and Cheyenne. I was minutes ahead of that foggy catastrophe, and I remember making an hour turnaround and coming back and seeing the smoke and asphalt burning across it looked like Talladega 500 wreck.
Oh, I remember
and a midway smoke coming across the midway, heavier than the fog, which had cleared a little bit that morning. But I remember thinking, I just barely missed that. What is going on over there? Wasn't there when I came to Cheyenne. It's there now.
That was basically driver neglect. It was foggy out bad. People driving too fast for conditions, and once it started, chain reaction.
It was absolute chain reaction. Now, you respond to those things 365 days a year, 24/7. You're looking in that regard. You have a business that's open 24/7.
On call.
You're on call.
Well, available for calls.
But on call is open.
Yep.
You have somebody staffed to take those calls, be it professional drivers in commercial companies or private individuals with insurance companies, or perhaps they're not insured. I just recently had friend break down north of Cheyenne. I call I-80 Towing and Automotive Services. I get you directly, to my surprise, and you dispatch your staff to help my friend north of Cheyenne with an automotive problem. You do this day in and day out, and it doesn't seem unreasonable as you pay taxes, you comply with industry standards. Tell folks just about some of the measures you take as a professional in the towing industry that are nationally
mandated
criteria. They're nationally criteria. Perhaps they're mandated. Perhaps they're not voluntary. What do you do and commit to annually that increases the level of public safety, public service that people can expect from I-80 Towing and Automotive Services?
Well, the main thing is insurance requirements, because you hear a lot of this illegal alien thing going on now, I guess you can say.
Oh, you got to speak English, or that's part of the
which never affected
thing.
us because all our drivers have to pass a drug test.
Okay.
So in these days now,
what do drugs have to do with speaking English?
Well, drugs, English, all the same thing. But
it's all criteria.
It's all met in because my drivers have to pass a drug test.
Okay.
There's a lot of agencies where they don't. My drivers have to be a certain age to be insurable.
This is your I-80 criteria. for employment.
My 80 and the insurance companies. Because
Okay, and the insurance.
you can't find, like I've got an individual that used to work for me. He was under the age of 25.
Okay.
Therefore, my insurance company said, no, I won't insure him.
So that limited the vehicles that you could put them on.
The personnel I could get for the training that they need to the state to be able to respond for a non-consensual tow.
Okay.
So therefore, but yet he can go to the state and they'll hire him right away. Insurance is no issue because it's
State sovereign.
It's the insurance company. The insurance is paid for by us through the state because it's warm or whatever it is, the state insurance.
Okay.
But yet I'm not entitled to that same type of
You
coverage.
can't be covered by WARM.
Yes, no, they won't. They won't insure us because that's only for state entities, which is unfair to me as a business because
And the state has deep pockets, so they can pay the insurance
because they're
regardless
taking
of what
it
it
out of
was.
ours.
Right?
So and another issue I have with the state, we have to meet all these requirements. Our tow trucks have to be inspected and everything else. I've been threatened, harassed by YDOT personnel about me trying to, if I get an incident that happens in Cheyenne, Wyoming, called by the Highway Patrol, fine, I respond with the trucks that have been inspected for Cheyenne. If I need additional equipment, I am not allowed to call one of my trucks from Laramie to go assist. And I'm like, why not? It's been inspected, meets the requirements. Well, it's not a Cheyenne truck. They want me to call a different tow company from Cheyenne to assist me, and I don't even know if I'm going to get paid for the wreck. It's unlike the fire department. When they respond, they're going to get paid. They don't have to try to fight with the insurance companies of that vehicle or house that's caught fire for their people to get paid. Because if that was the fact, we probably wouldn't have firefighters.
Worst case, they put a lien on the
job.
property or whatever they have to in order to force payment.
But us, I don't understand what gives the state the right to dictate how I operate my business, whom I can call and subcontract, and whom I can't. And they just flat out deny you or threaten you and say, we'll kick you off the list or kick you off the scene.
Do you believe that your company specifically might be targeted because of your questioning the system or the practices?
That's one factor. A lot of it is favoritism. You're not allowed to say that somebody's getting benefits from calling certain tow companies or not, but they are. You have this new tow truck show that's come out. They have deep pockets
on national TV,
national
right?
TV.
Yeah.
Because they're coming out of California, every other state, and they have deep pockets. And I don't know if it's a prestige thing for the patrol to be hyped up. Because if you've ever watched them, you see how, the patrol, they do an outstanding job, but it only takes one or two individuals that are greedy and want more fame for themselves. And then that's why a lot of them are bypassing the rotation list. Oh, this company has a beautiful truck. It's a rotator, which is just a wasted money. We've gotten by 10, 15, 20 years in Wyoming.
Features available in certain equipment available to towing companies like yours.
It takes just as much space on the road because they say they can do it quicker. We had an incident a couple weeks ago. We got called by a different agency, not the Highway Patrol. It was law enforcement, though. We responded. We were there quick. Started working the accident. Highway Patrol pulls up on scene, starts threatening us. If we'd have called you, you wouldn't be allowed to have your trucks from Laramie. It's like, well, they transported personnel. And the trailer was ripped in half, so cargo was starting to come out of the trailer. And then one of the troopers came up to one of my operators and asked him, well, shouldn't we just get a rotator? My driver, he said, he's interfering with our scene. He just let the trooper go on his own way. But if the trailer's ripped in half, a rotator isn't going to do nothing. They take up just as much space as a regular tow truck does.
For all practicality, no reason for the requirement of a different or the expectation or the on-the-scene decision for something actually comes because of a lack of expertise.
That's true.
In what they're doing and how to operate it professionally.
If we have a patrol call, when the Highway Patrol call us, we have to get permission from the trooper on scene and say, can we get another tow truck out here? We need it. The trooper has to make that determination. So I don't know.
They're controlling the scene.
They're controlling the scene, but yet they say they don't. But my issue is, if I don't know how many of the troopers have worked for the tow companies or have, say, for a heavy duty, 3 years verifiable work history with a tow truck, because they don't. And
So more than just knowing how to operate it, it's experience that
It's
you
experience.
have operated it for a 3-year period.
yes, and knowing what to do, and they just say, well, we think this is better. Well, it's not your business. You're a patrolman to, serve and protect us. Don't come interfere on the scene and take pictures, which they do, of my guys, and then it intimidates my workers. They get distracted from a very hazardous situation, worrying about what the trooper's going to do.
So, have you called your legislators? I mean, have you?
Well, that's why I sent out.
Do you have a stack of papers and materials in front of you in the camera view, and what do you have there in terms of documentation that is a baseline for what you're pursuing, which is equitable rotation through qualified towing companies?
This is just their policy. This is YDOT's policy, which is fine. We need policy out there. We need rules and regulations. But my whole issue is when they make, and it's a lot of paperwork here, when they say we have to meet certain requirements, but yet an individual anywhere in the state can just throw this away and call whomever he wants.
Okay.
And that's not fair when in this, like I go back to the thing with the heavy duty records.
Very arbitrary.
Yes, and it's they've got minimum requirements for the trucks, except the heavy duties. The heavy duties, you have to have a minimum under reach, but no tow limit. So they'll make them split the trucks and trailer, because in Wyoming, the average weight of a semi-truck is 80,000 pounds. And then you always hear, well, what if it's oversized? What if it's this? Then you deal with it. But the majority of them are 80,000 pounds by federal law.
What would stop you as an operator from sending a small, underrated truck?
Oh no, that you cannot do.
To hold the call for your big truck to come that was 20 miles out or something.
That you're not supposed to do, and that I agree with.
Okay.
You're supposed to send the appropriate truck called for, but like across I-80, we're required to have 2 heavy-duty wreckers. Mm-hmm. But if we get a call, they forbade us from dispatching both of them. They say send one when you get on scene, then you can ask permission to send the other one. So if they're 30 miles away and it's in the middle of winter, and when the trooper is supposed to be on scene, not call first, but that doesn't work either.
Is that to save the public cost or expense, undue expense?
They think it does.
Or is that to
They think it does, but it takes
safety?
extra time. It takes extra time. Because right here in their provision, it's got an emergency situation may arise, which is true, but not limited to the weather or the size or location of the crash. And then it says a peace officer on scene, he has to be on scene, he has the authority to use any qualified or non-qualified tower, to respond. So why even have the list? Because they make us be qualified, have good equipment that can handle the job, but yet they just took it out of our hand right there by allowing the trooper to call whomever he wants.
Is that sloppy legislation, or is that's intentional?
No, the legislation was good given YDOT. It was sloppy policy writing.
Okay.
Because they passed, YDOT, you figure, well, they're in charge. Department of Transportation, they know what they're doing. But yet you have so many fingers in the pot, it's hard to make good legislation. It's like any political group. And then it goes on to, they have the authority to call whomever they want. But then the next sentence relieves him. It says, peace officers, while performing their duties, shall not be responsible to pay for services. So he can call his brother-in-law up or his brother and say, hey, Jim, come out here and get this wreck. And the customer's thinking, well, he's going to call a reputable tow company that's on the list. He didn't. So therefore, his brother-in-law, uncle, whomever he called, can charge whatever he wants as long as it's in. See, if he calls them and they're not qualified, there's no rate sheet filed with the state, no nothing. Because like us, we have to file a rate sheet with the state. They have to approve my rates in order to be on the list. But if they call a non-qualified tower, they don't have a rate sheet. They can bill whatever they want. And when you ask the patrol, they're like, well, that doesn't happen often. It shouldn't happen at all.
And have you requested such an incident, a case that is, as you allege, happening unfairly, unjustly?
Oh, there's a lot of them in Cheyenne. When they call for the rotator.
Are you given the same delay of 5 months or never receiving the public records request?
Oh, as far as public records request, yeah, I don't even know. We've asked for numerous times over the years, and they don't respond, or they respond 3 or 4 months later, and then it's, how do you say, not in order, it's discombobulated. So you have
disorganized,
a hard time. Yeah,
not
disorganized.
systematic. You would expect a call log to be
timestamp, date, and all that, but they don't do that.
Descriptive, narrative, at least. Kind of like a dispatcher takes your call systematically. Who are you? Where are you calling from? Is this emergency or non-emergency? Real systematic.
Well, it says in a policy, too, if they call for one not on the rotation list, they're supposed to give a reason why they called out of the rotation.
Right.
That's what I put the public records request in for. That's the one I haven't even got back yet at all.
And that was over 5 months.
That was over 5 months ago.
Okay.
And they won't do it. And when you ask, say, I want a list of all the towers in this region, you'll get it, but it's confusing to read it.
Okay.
They don't say, okay, here's all the large records, here's all the small records. And then, like, this doesn't affect much up near Casper because that's I-25. They're only required to have one large record. And they say, well, it's because of the amount of crashes down here. It's like, well, a crash is a crash. Either one tow truck can handle it. And if you say we have to have 2 records down here, why? Because if one of my records is out, I guess they think I'm not even supposed to respond. And then I have to respond with just one tow truck and ask permission to send a second one. So why am I required to have 2?
And do those second trucks, you're not able to subcontract the call? Or
no. That is right. You shouldn't subcontract the call because then you'd only have one organization taking all the calls. No, if you get called for a call, if I get called for a call right now, Tom, we need a large wrecker here.
Okay.
If I have it available, I say he'll be right there in 30 minutes. Give him a time arrival. If they like it, they accept it. If they don't, they can not accept it for any reason they want and say, well, that's too long.
Got it.
And I can understand if the vehicle's in the middle of the highway, you need a quick response.
There are circumstances where that makes sense.
But a lot of times they'll call, the vehicle will be off the roadway, in the ditch. They call you for an ETA, you tell them 45 minutes. Oh, that's too long.
How do you suggest the policy be written?
Oh, they need to enforce it and take out the amendment where they allow the troopers to call whomever they want for whatever reason.
That discretion needs to be removed.
Yes, totally, because
either uphold the standard
or just do away with the rotation list. But then
are you taxed? Are you charged a fee to be on the rotation?
No, but it is an added expense to us because when I tell my insurance company I'm on the police rotation list, my rates go up because they assume it's putting myself in more risk because I'm out there in inclement weather, dangerous conditions on a crash scene. So that's just a reason for the insurance
Meanwhile,
company.
In less than 12 months, your business has been negatively impacted more than $700,000 in the 12 months by being bypassed in the rotation, and just with the state of Wyoming alone.
Yep, losing drivers, everything else with the requirements. Because when a trooper comes up and gets in front of somebody, that's intimidation alone. They say it isn't, but to a young kid that say, well, now they're 25, 26, that intimidates them. And then when he says, I'm going to kick you off the rotation list for this, that terrifies the shit out of my employee. If they got an issue, they all have my phone number. Call me.
Yep.
Call me. Or if you have a reason to dispute, call the office. Don't go out on scene and interfere with my personnel working because you pull
time and place.
You pull up with cops, when they're doing their job, they know what they're doing at a crime scene, whatever it is, drug arrest, whatever.
It seems reasonable.
You don't see me pulling up. You're doing that wrong. Where's your backup? Where's the other vehicle? Are you inspected? Mm-hmm. We're going to suspend you for work for 45 days without pay. We can't do that. That's not even in the realm of responsibility.
So what other suggestions would you appreciate from legislation or legislators, state of Wyoming, departments with policy or statute?
To actually look at what's going on. Instead of, because their first instinct, well, I'm going to call the colonel. The colonel says everything fine is fine. He's just mad. That doesn't happen. And they believe him,
Okay.
which to an extent is fine. But if they would actually look at the call log, talk to other towers. I've talked to quite a few towers now recently because I'm asking them if the same thing's going on, and there's a lot of them going on. A lot of it where the cop, sheriff, city cop, and more so in the Cheyenne area than here. Well, they'll just call whomever they want. They tell dispatch, call A company, get him out here. Call A company, and then they look, oh, this is an abandoned motorhome, not worth nothing. I don't want it. Okay, go off the rotation.
It seems to me that you're being denied, the public is being denied the opportunity for timely review. If you were able to isolate an instance that was easily viewable, recent memory, detailed in such a way within 36 hours, 7 days, 30 days, you would be able to be more constructive in your suggestions perhaps and isolate and improve, suggest improvements that could help everyone, the public at large.
Then you could narrow it down to which...
And you're being denied more than 4, 5, 6 months.
Then you could narrow it down more to which personnel are actually doing it. Because I can see their reasoning behind it. But this calls for favored companies to not run the road, but they call it, the other year I got complained at by the patrolman when I told him, well, this company is sitting out there on the exit ramp, and this comes straight from the patrol. They said, well, he's staging in case we need him. That's running the road. That's wild, wild west being allowed by the sheriff. Not the sheriff in general.
So that's basically monitoring the
favoritism.
CB waves, and
Well, not even that. They just call them from their cell phone.
oh, you're getting direct. You're getting direct.
They're getting direct calls.
Favor.
Or they get direct favoritism. And if I were to be driving back, say, there's been instances where I'm either going to a customer call and they're at a truck stop or whatever. I've had law enforcement pull me over, call the office. What is your truck doing out here on 230? Or what are they doing out west on I-80?
It's almost like it's almost like they're policing the stereotypical ambulance chaser in legal services, but in the towing industry.
Yeah, because we have regular customers, and the policy does state, which I agree with, if you're on the rotation list, you should call dispatch to inform them, hey, I'm going out on I-80, this mile marker. But if they're at a truck stop out there, the 290 truck stop, in the parking lot, and I'm driving out there, why should I be questioned because Trooper John saw me driving down the interstate in inclement weather? Well,
it doesn't sound like a two-way street. You are calling dispatch and allowing the state to be notified of your
if the vehicle's on the roadway, which we're supposed to do.
Which you're supposed to do, but you're not, and you need to do that timely.
Yep.
But you're not being treated timely as an operator.
No, just right away they think we're doing something wrong. And if you complain to the personnel that are supposed to be in charge of it, then they wait 2 weeks, of course, before they even deem to call you back. Then when they call you back, they're like, oh, well, you did this wrong, we think.
So they bypass
the
your original concern, and they don't handle your original contention with basically a grocery list of other things that you did. They circumvent through that distraction.
Then you've got other issues in here like a call during normal business hours, and this is just for the non-consensual tow list by Highway Patrol, is not considered an emergency call. But yet when they call us and say it's a wreck, that's an emergency in my eyes. And they say you have, because if you give them, okay, yeah, we'll be there in 90 minutes. Oh, that's too long. This is an emergency situation. But yet they tell us it's not an emergency situation if it's between 8 to 5. Well, if you got a robbery going on, that's an emergency, whether it be at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. Same as an accident. If it's at 10 a.m., 10 p.m., that's an emergency.
You have a lot of hair on your head for all this stress.
Oh, it's just unreal. And that's where it goes back, And us as a tower, we're not supposed to complain about the cops because that's in the policy. actual or implied, we're not supposed to say, gives us the impression the highway patrol receives any financial gain. But yet, a deputy or a trooper is allowed to work directly for a tow company. So
Conflict of interest
How
is
is-
written
yeah.
into the statute.
yeah, and they don't care about that when you bring it up. Oh, that doesn't matter. It's like, well, he can bypass the rotation list. So when he's on duty, who do you think he's going to call?
They have written authorization within it to be
To call their company that they
arbitrary
work
and
for.
capricious.
Yep. And that to me is just unrealistic. And when you bring it up, then they'll harass you. I'll probably get, if any of them listen to your show, Eric, which I'm quite sure they do, I'll probably get harassed in a roundabout way. Or they'll show up at my shop wanting to look at my truck.
Well, it seems more important, most important for the public of the state of Wyoming that we get the best possible service. We get the best possible service from law enforcement, responding and taking action on the scene. It also seems equally important that you as an operator and as a towing company receive fair and equitable rotation in
True,
your business.
I abide by this, spend all this money to be on the rotation list, so it should be the same for everybody. But
So-
it's not.
Does the city of Laramie have such a rotation? to
The
your
city operates differently from the highway patrol.
knowledge? Okay.
Most part for the cities, it's by Cheyenne's different from Laramie. Laramie's different from Rawlins.
I remember in the county commissioners meeting recently, Sheriff Applehans talked about the county dispatch is notified on.
That's
on-
county,
on
and see,
those.
that's a whole nother third entity
Okay.
because the city hasn't really updated their rotation list for, 10, 15 years.
Okay.
They still
So
call,
companies that are no longer with us perhaps are
Still getting called.
Still
because like
potentially
I used to
getting called.
have, going back to the bureaucracy, I had to have separate multiple companies before.
Like multiple 5 LLCs in order
Yes,
to get 5
because
points on the.
I
5 points
couldn't
on the
operate
rotation.
out of Cheyenne as I-80 towing before because they said, well, you're operating in Laramie, you're not allowed to operate in Cheyenne. That changed when another tow company come up, so now I'm just back down to I-80 towing in separate areas. And I have trucks for all those areas. But the cities are different because the city here, instead of them updating their list, hey, C&K Towing's no longer in business. Let's remove that. I don't know if it's internal or not because dispatchers have a hard time because they have to abide by the trooper or the policeman that is calling them saying, you need to do this. So what's the dispatcher to do? Disagree with the cop? No, they're not going to do that.
You're there to be swift and
Yeah, they're there to
supportive.
get it quick because they
Swift,
got
supportive.
numerous calls coming in. So
Effective.
I don't blame it on dispatching. It's on the management side of it that hasn't reviewed their own records, and
Seems
they
like the
won't.
structure.
They
the
don't want to
system,
look at themselves.
the system. They needs an introspective look on the
Yep.
system.
And that stuff at the commissioners meeting the other day when they're like, oh, the tower comes back and buys it.
Uh-huh.
I've never even had the option to really tow. And the county calls specific towers that they like. Again, they don't use a rotation list.
One comment was made about greed and the reference of tow companies being greedy with respect to their rate.
Well, if we don't get
Charge.
caught, I don't have a chance to be greedy. But the
What do you
greed comes.
think of government setting your rates?
Oh, that's not good. Well, they don't set our rates.
They approve your rate.
They approve our rates. Now,
Correct.
the cities have different viewpoints. Like Cheyenne, we have a set rate.
Okay. Does the city
But it
set
went
that
up.
rate, or
The city and
you
the
agreed
towers
to
got
it or
together and agreed to it.
not? Okay. So it
Because
was a
it's worth
collaborative
the
deal.
extra money that it went up to. Before it was nothing. It wasn't. I would not get my truck up for what they were saying we could charge before.
Okay.
I mean, 2 a.m. in the morning, $65 is not worth my driver that's getting up to afford to pay him, pay for the truck, pay for the, all the overhead, just to get him out there and sit on a scene for 2 hours.
That makes sense. How are storage fees? A lot of times people don't immediately care for their automobile or what have you that's broken down. You store it. You take a vehicle that was in a improperly parked violation. And
Anytime it was towed from non-consensual.
non-consensual, that
we have
storage runs
care,
at
custody,
set
and
rate.
control. So we have to have our yard has to be meet certain criteria. We have to have it fenced in and all that stuff, which we do. And if something happens, I have to have an insurance policy to cover that vehicle, garage keepers, so do repair shops, everybody else. But yet the state changed their policy within, I think it's 7 days of me towing a vehicle for a law enforcement entity. I have to do a VIN search, submit paperwork to the state for a title search. Even if I know 2 weeks this guy's going to be coming in to pay, I still have to pay the state $15 for a fee when it used to be $5. If I don't, I'm subject to a fine. And then we have all this paper, and then we have to send out certified letters and everything else. And either or we know we're going to get paid in, say, 10 days, or it's on a holiday weekend, if it's a trucking company, whatever it may be, then we're stuck with it. We still have to do it, even though they're going to come back next week and pick it up and pay for it. And then everyone asks, well, you have storage.
Does government charge a fee for referral?
No.
Not yet.
No. Well,
Do you feel it coming?
Well, they do. How do you say? Government doesn't charge it, but the government personnel are getting kickbacks. They say I can't prove it, but why else would they write that in the policy? Where an individual can bypass all the money that the government went through to write this policy, but they have to add in those certain lines. Well, you can call who you want, and you're not going to be liable because it's in the policy.
Gotcha.
So how does that not lead to the perception somebody's making money and not doing the work for it?
And it seems to open the opportunity.
It opens opportunity up. And there's a lot of good troopers out there, but it's just with all the requirements here, and there's not enough time to go through it, but like I have to have driver requirements, certain types of insurance, business requirements, everything, which I agree with. You shouldn't be allowed to run out of your house. But if you are, because in Laramie you have people operating out of their house, because you can see the tow trucks always parked out there. When they get a crash or a disabled vehicle, it's parked on the street. And you have police officers that live by that house a block away and see it, but when they're going home or going to work, they don't want to stop and do the extra work as I see it to correct that issue. But yet if my grass isn't cut, the city might come by and send me a nasty letter.
Code enforcement, baby.
Yep, but yet they'll allow these vehicles to be parked on the street. Right. Not tagged, not
until
nothing.
They're complained by the public.
If they're complained by, they still sit there or they move them a foot.
Right.
So, that's back and forth. That's always happened, probably always will happen. But it's just aggravating to me as a business owner because I'm, responsible now for 16 people. Their livelihood, their
families. How long have you been in the towing industry?
Oh, in the industry, I've been in it, Jesus Christ, 40 years, give or take. That was military service and this. Business owner, I've bought it in 2010. And it's gotten good and worse, but these same issues go on where government overreach is just catastrophic. Because before, this requirement of 2 trucks and all that, they say you have to physically have your trucks in that area. So now I have to park my trucks. Now I'm remodeling a trailer. But I'm going to park my heavy-duty wrecker out there at Arlington. No security or nothing because I've had that yard broken into. You call the sheriff, oh, well, gee, it sucks for you. Because they're never going to find the people that stopped in there.
Right.
They say you should have cameras up, armed guards, dogs. All that's an expense. Mm-hmm. So now I'm putting them back out there, and they say you have to live out there. And then it's hard to get drivers to live out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm going to have the driver's going to live in Laramie, which is
But the view of Elk Mountain is pristine.
Oh, yeah. It's pristine.
That's nothing like a snowflake going 80 miles an hour sideways.
So now my drivers are probably going to have, I'm going to have a driver living in Laramie, and he'll have to commute out there, which is fine. People commute all the time to work. You got people live in Laramie, drive to Cheyenne to work, Fort Collins to work. They don't deny them the right to work in Fort Collins because they don't live there, which is the same for us. If I don't have people living in a certain area, why, my trucks are inspected for that area. That's the only ones that respond initially for the patrol. Customer call, I'll send them whatever equipment's available because I've negotiated the rate with the customer. Say, okay, I'll be out there in 90 minutes. It'll cost you this much. They're like, fine, I'll wait 90 minutes.
Right.
Because they don't,
and they know you're coming.
They know I'm coming. But yet with the patrol, you have to be here lickety split. And when they give you a time limit, to me, that's an emergency situation, be it 10 o'clock in the daytime, 10 o'clock at nighttime. If they say you must be here within a quick time frame, that's an emergency.
It's interesting to me that you are mandated with an ETA expectation. When I have called law enforcement, be it city, county, or state, I have no assurance of ETA.
They get there when they can, and there's no repercussions.
They get there when they do. They might not get there when they can.
Yeah.
I hope that they get there when they can.
Yeah, but there's no, which I understand with the shortages and all that, but on the other hand, they ought to understand my situation too. It's hard to get employees, and qualified people that can work to meet all these requirements is just like hiring a police officer.
Have you ever heard that's your problem?
Oh yeah, all the time. They say that's your problem, you were in that business. Always. They don't care about the operational.
Well, it's clear
they
that
don't.
somebody who says that doesn't uphold their own standard.
True.
Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely. This segment brought to you in the public interest by Windmill Hill. Windmill Hill Greenhouse, 4109 Fort Sanders Road, right here in Laramie. Their phone number, 307-742-7151. Windmill Hill Greenhouse and Nursery is full of your garden resources. Do you want perennials, trees, shrubs, products, annuals, houseplants perhaps? Maybe you need succulents, ivies, ferns, string of plants, popular houseplants, herbs, annuals, perennials, all available. Just part of the products in the full line at Windmill Hill Greenhouse. Benny Benson, big shout out to you today, sir. Best wishes to you and your entire team at Windmill Hill, 4109 Fort Sanders. We're visiting with Thomas Mullan, owner-operator of I-80 Towing and Automotive Services. As we conclude here this morning, thank you for bringing this important topic to you. What's the impact to the tax structure in the state, city, and local for not having that $700,000 in revenue generated in our community via your business?
Oh, a lot. I can't hire any personnel.
So you have
Go down, employee issues, and that's an impact for the real estate, food, everything. I mean, they live here. They would live here.
You invested in an entirely new dispatch location and an entirely new structure and a shop and yard, moving from 1209 South 3rd Street to your 3830 Cherrywood Loop East location now. What investment did you make? Why did you choose? If you knew what you know now, would you have made that change? Would you have invested in developing your business in Laramie?
No. But I
mean, it's done.
The government doesn't care about what you have to invest. They don't care. They care about what they can get and how they perceive you and how it makes them feel.
Yeah.
Because they've got, I don't want to say power tripping and all that, but they do. They forget what it's like to work for a living. I mean,
not
they
be
work
subsidized
and
have
not
that
be
guaranteed
subsidized,
income of taxation
all
coming
have
in.
guaranteed income. If they work 40 hours, they're going to get paid this week or next week, regardless how they perform.
Are you subsidized by any federal, state, or local programs?
Hell no. I pay for them, but no. Yeah, sorry. I don't mean to French out there, but it's
not funny, but laughter is a coping mechanism.
Oh, true.
It?
It is. And you have to, and then everyone looks at me like, why am I complaining? Well, I'm tired of it. It's affecting me financially, but it's also affecting the amount of personnel I can hire.
What happens when you're charged a fee? Do you pass that fee on or do you suck it up?
Oh, if it's a fee, I pass it on.
Right.
You have to. You just can't. And like now with this, everyone says, well, tow trucks charge too much. Well, I have to have 2 heavy-duty wreckers now versus years ago when I didn't. So how do I make up that
requires twice the fee, doesn't
$600,000 plus trying to train another operator?
You have to double
Somebody
your cost.
you have to more than double your cost. Because it's like if you go out and buy a house, you're not expected to pay for that house in 5 years. You go out and buy a tow truck, you're expected to pay for that in 5 years.
If you were able to charge half as much, you'd need twice the volume.
True. And you
order to
can't
do
get
the same
twice the
amount.
volume when government
requirements
agency
have a
is
minimum.
changing it. And
Yeah.
they call their friends and they don't use the fair rotation list. And this affects the motor and public and a factor that most people have insurance. If they break down, have a slide off, whatever it is, they're going to call their insurance company, whether it be through mom or dad. And that takes time because it's hard. And if you've ever called your insurance company, they use AI now, and AI can't understand where you're at. And it takes, I'm going to guess, 2 hours by the time you start calling to the actual time I show up if you're a mile away from me. But in the wintertime, or when there's an incident and you slide off and a trooper comes by, he'll just pick up, hey, Jim, go out there and get it. I'm going to call you off, tell him that the cop sent you. And that customer is forced to pay that tower. And that tower might not be on the rotation list because it's not a requirement. Yet if I'm on the list, it's a requirement. So it's just unrealistic.
I hate to say it, but I don't envy you.
It sucks.
I don't envy you in this situation. It seems entirely frustrating. It seems very unreasonable. What are you handing me here?
Oh, that's just some of the procedures they have.
When hold order is placed on a towed vehicle by a Wyoming Highway Patrol member, the vehicle shall be placed in an area of storage. So that's the storage.
That's why I have
parameter.
care, custody, and control.
Right. And then you have a vehicle impound form, P18I, must be completed.
That's by the trooper, I believe.
And that assures adequate compensation. And to assure adequate compensation, the towed vehicle will be released to the tow carrier unless already compensated for services. So unless they showed you a receipt or you showed.
Well, no, that's just showing where if law enforcement puts a hold on the vehicle, they just tell my driver, put a hold on that. We don't get no paperwork or nothing. We're just told there's a hold on it.
Okay.
So then we tow it to our yard. Well,
Per highway patrol instruction.
Yeah, where I'm told to take it to my yard where I have care, custody, and control. So the owner can come up the following day and say, I want that vehicle. And we'll tell them, sorry, sir, it's not released.
It's under highway patrol hold.
And they're like, well, what do
like
you mean?
It's part
why?
of an investigation.
Yep.
Until the case
But
is closed.
we don't know why it's on hold. They won't really tell us.
Okay.
So it could be the owner's kid could have been out driving. There's no telling
So
why.
you need
the
to
vehicle.
refer them to dispatch.
So we have to hold it, and then we refer them to dispatch. In the meantime, it's the weekend, and that trooper's off duty.
Till Monday. Or
He'll be in
Tuesday.
Monday.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, the owner is pissed. Well, are you going to charge me storage? Well, are you going to buy this land and give it to me?
Right.
So yes, there's a fee, and that's
Today's Friday night.
Yep.
Saturday, Sunday, then Monday.
Yep.
You can do something. We'll
Storage
have had it
fees.
3 days in that time.
Yep. And the customer's pissed at me, not the policeman,
Right.
and not because his kid was out drunk or whatever. They're pissed at us because we told it, we physically have it, and we give them the bill.
Accountability, right?
Yep. So that's one part of it there. That's kind of weird.
Call out procedures and standards.
That's
One of the primary issues that we're talking about today on the Talk Shop with Thomas Mullan of I-80 Towing and Automotive Services. Their available phone number here in the area, 742-6329. They're automotive services, one you can count on, 7220 at South 3rd location, as well as their towing operation at 3830 Cherrywood Loop East. I acknowledge annual support of the Talk Shop from I-80 Towing and Automotive Services. The views and vantage points are expressed here are those of my guest and myself exclusively, and not those of any of our supporting partners. Thomas, thank you for bringing this matter to light. I hope that we can in some way help to remedy your frustration and ease your pain and bring a heightened level of public service to all involved. Your availability 24/7. Any other areas of business growth, or are you happy holding on to what you got?
Not yet. Just trying to hold on to what I got, but it's hard with the entities.
Well, Thomas Mullan, veteran owner of I-80 Towing and Automotive Services. We thank you, Thomas.
Thank you. Bing, bing, bing.